Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Hitesh. I am one of the founders at Joining Hands. Good to see all of you here. Some new faces, some people who I know. Always good to see and feel and have that mix. Joining Hands is evolving. We started off as a community, a platform. Now we're creating an ecosystem for systemic constellation work. You probably have seen our website. We will be launching our new website in the next 15 days. We've started work on it already. This is how our website is. Joining Hands, you can go to the workshop section and you'll see all our upcoming events over there. We've got them lined up in July. It's interesting. Healing Circles is our institute where we teach systemic work. You can look at that website also. Both of them are going to be going through some major revamp in the next 15, 20 days. Our app is going to be out by the end of August. And yeah, that's a lot about what we do. We're creating this beautiful ecosystem to help people get awareness, along with getting awareness to understand where they are in their life and experience the magical world of healing, specifically with systemic constellations work. If you haven't already joined our daily healing classes, please do so immediately. We have a launch offer for our community. If you see, every night we do a different theme. Tonight at 9 o'clock, right after the Zoom, we're working with karma. Then we work with relationship with self. We work with career the day after. Saturday, Sunday, we take a break, and then we have, past life, shadow work, relationship with children, health, relationship with the mother, and a whole list of modality, a list of areas being covered every single night. Thank you so much for joining in today. Today, we've got a very interesting topic being spoken about. We're going to be talking about inner child, and we have Claes Berend in the house with us. Claes Berend is a dear friend, brother, and he from the school. He's my senior. He learned regression therapy from the Tasso Institute. Though we never met over there, uh, but we share a lot of common interests, a lot of common connections. He's a seasoned teacher of constellations. He's been practicing family constellation for over 2 decades, 25 years, right? Last 2.5 decades.
I
Yeah.
think I started in the year 2000. I met with somebody doing family constellations a few years before,
Mhm.
but I started learning family constellations in 2000 and practicing 2 years later, probably. Um, well, I practiced already during the course that we had in small constellations. That's the same thing as I teach after days. I want them to practice a little bit also, and that's the main work. And much later, 15 years later, I did regression therapy at Takto Amsterdam. Same. That's where we know each other from,
Yes.
Marion Boon, Amsterdam, etc.
So, Klaus, I was looking at our data. I think this is your 15th webinar with Joining Hands.
Okay, we have an anniversary.
Yeah, since 2023, we've been doing webinars with Joining Hands, you and I.
It's already 25. That's 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
it's a strange time because I've been in India 5 already. I will be there for the sixth time, starting a new group teaching to facilitate family constellations in August,
right.
July, August. And I've these 5 times were in the time span of 1.5 years, maybe 2 years. Maybe it's 2 years ago in August. It's in July, August
Yes,
that I've
2 years.
been in India. It looks much longer because so many groups have already been graduated and are now offering their own processes on the Joining Hands websites. I see all kind of familiar people that now have their own practice in constellations and systemic exercises, etc. very rewarding. I love that. Yeah.
And 2 years is a long time.
No, well, it's very short for having people already doing their own work and having built their own practices in family constellations. And yeah, I love to India, and um, I love to teach from you. The love for teaching, the love for really connecting people, and uh, both facilitating them on their own personal journey of becoming into a more peaceful and more free state, and at the same time teaching people to be able to be their own facilitator of family constellations and be their own therapist. That's always, yeah, that's very humbling also.
Yes. So do we call you 50% Indian now or
Uh,
70%?
23
23?
would,
Okay.
would also be very kind already, because what can you do in 2 years' time?
I think when we get you to watch a Bollywood movie, yeah.
Mm. When I can participate in a Bollywood movie,
Oh, that
won't
would
they
be
need a European giant somewhere?
yeah, make your head into a Bollywood
Yeah,
movie.
that will be 24% when I can do that.
Okay, so good. So class, you need no introduction. With 15 webinars, a lot of people already know you, and we've
A
spoken.
lot done. So all the new ones, welcome also.
So hi, so welcome to the new ones, the ones who've been here earlier, you know the format. The idea is class and I are two friends having a conversation in a coffee shop, not the Dutch coffee shop, but an actual coffee shop, and we're
You
having a
know what the main
conversation.
product is they sell in Dutch coffee shops?
So we're having
Cannabis.
cannabis, yes. The Dutch coffee shops sell cannabis, so we're not having a conversation in a cannabis coffee shop, but we're having a conversation, two friends talking about life, talking about inner child. So we keep it very informal, very casual. You have
And
questions.
we keep space for your questions also, somebody else. So if you want to enter a virtual hand, and some of us will see it and give you space to ask your own questions.
Yeah, the only ask and the only request that I have is we will end it by 8:50 because we have the next Zoom that starts at 9.
And I have another request. I would like to your reaction, and I would love to have you put your video on. Then I computer in virtual. Thank you, Simar and Anjali and Shiraz and everybody else. Hital, allow to put it on. Shiva, yeah,
Okay, good.
Simar, thank you. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Those of you who can, please put your video. Really nice to see all things. It
Yeah.
motivates us to really get more deeper into the questions. So
And
I'm
when you what's going on,
so I'm gonna right in.
I'm happy, Shivangi, that you can laugh about it.
So I'm going to jump right in class. My first question to you is when we hear the word inner child, we often think about child because um, as a medium to express a trauma or a wound, right? Otherwise, we never really use the word inner child. I'm not going to tell my mother my inner child is hungry and
Yeah.
my daughter. Constellation field, what does the inner child truly represent? Does it have a different meaning of what the work we do?
Well, constellations, how I learned it. My teachers also used the term inner child. Um, but when I teach families, there's quite some influence from our course in regression therapy that we both did in Amersfoort. And there are different definitions on inner child, so that can be confusing. Uh, with the therapists, what I learned it from is an inner child is a moment of yourself, of this life, frozen in time. There's somebody with a microphone
Mute
on
everyone and then you mute.
or a television very loud.
I've muted everybody.
It's like magic. I muted everybody.
Rajalakshmi.
Muted everybody. Class, can you unmute? Let me just get you to unmute. Can you unmute, class? Yes. Okay.
I unmuted 3 times, and at the same time, a co-host muted me again. Maybe Binaifa is sabotaging us. I don't know. I'm here. I'm speaking again. And the background noise is gone. So let's continue. So there are plural definitions of inner child, and the definition our teachers went by is there is an inner child um, appearing at the moment that you freeze. That somewhere in your childhood, an an occasion was so dominant and so traumatic that you could not deal with that at the moment that it appeared. So accidents, also on a later age, maybe a sudden death of somebody close to you, even when you're an adult, but also very small and unexpected things in your childhood that you could not put your head around, put your heart around. Um, that are moments that an inner child that you are frozen in time. That means that something of that of yourself was not joining and able to cope with that experience. And in therapy, in regression therapy, you go back to that moment. And then what you could not feel, could not sense, could not understand at that moment, with your present adult experience, you can. You can experience it, you can deal with it, you can understand what happened. And when you do that, you can feel the emotion, and it's not as heavy as it was at that moment. But when you have had it through all the through your mind, through your emotional body, etc., you can let go of that stalled a moment in your life, and you can flow again. You can come into flow, into peace with that again. Um, that definition of inner child is a reason. So that's also the definition that I use when I do family constellation, and we can put up and meet in your inner world or in a family constellation where somebody else is a stand-in for it. You can meet your inner child, and you can uh, be a kind of a parent for your own little self. And even an inner child exists when we speak of the expert definition. It can even exist when you are 30 or 40 years old, because also then you can have moments that you cannot really deal with. And you have to meet that inner child. You meet the, the relationship in which the trauma existed. The trauma could exist when your sibling or one of your parents or grandparents died. So then you put up also the other person, the person that has died now, or the sister that you had heard bad news about. These kind of relationship you put up in a family constellation, and then you see what the relationship was and what happened in the moment, and then you bring peace and you both recognize the and the pain that was there, and then you get recognition for your own pain, and that's
So what I'm hearing is it doesn't need to be a particular age because there's so much information.
no,
Yeah. So if
that's a myth.
I lost my father when I was 41 years old,
Yeah,
which was a very traumatic loss for me.
yeah, and because it's confusing in regression therapy, you use the moment that you lost your father as there could have appeared an inner child because you could grieve from him, and for a part it was an overwhelming occurrence, and you had to put your head around how to your mother, how you were not able to grieve.
Right.
In family constellations, we don't call it an inner child just because of that confusion, but we think, okay, if there's something there, let's put up a constellation for you and with your father and your mother, your sister, around that subject. And
Interesting.
then we'll find out if there's something to gain from it because some part of you went with him or froze. Yeah,
Interesting. Very, very
yeah,
interesting. Path that went with him or froze. Very nice. So,
yeah.
I have I don't know if that's a leading question to that, but I've heard you say this very often. And you say that the child carries what the system could not.
Have I ever said that?
I think so, no?
But
Have-
it's beautiful worded. It's that's a beautiful word for what I just said. The child that appears, the inner child that appears, that those and energies, everything in it that you were not able to deal with at that moment. So that inner child, when you find it back, just by connecting and you put it up in your awareness or in a family constellation, you talk to it, then the child knows what happened and what made him so scared, made him freeze, made him be angry, could not deal with. So then there is a mutual exchange between you and the child, yourself in a younger age than you are now, and you recognize the child that she could not understand, she could not cope, she was helpless, hopeless, powerless, and the child tells you and shows you the emotions at that moment. Now I can let go. Now I can unfreeze. Now I can cry. And then you can take that child inside of you. You can take it in your arms in a family constellations, and you can parent your own younger self or your own inner child. You can parent her, embrace her, take her in your arms, and share your heart with her. And in regression, we even tell, step, let the child step into your body, take a place close to your heart, and as, as if it's a new womb for your own inner child, it can grow up inside of you. And then it can grow up until you are the same age. And then you have healed that part of yourself, that emotional wound that existed at that moment.
So that's like a classical mixture of constellation and regression work,
Yes.
right? Because you let the child grow within you.
Yeah. That growing within you as if you have an inner womb. For
Right.
her, that's regression work. And that meeting, putting somebody up for that moment and that self of that age, that's family constellation. That's where we start in family constellations. Look it in the eyes. Look yourself in the eyes at certain ages. When did it occur? Who were important for you at that moment? Who were part of the trauma? who were there, who were involved. That's all family constellations.
So if anyone has had a traumatic childhood, and which is very common, right? We all have our own traumas in our childhood. Is the system trying to communicate something via us?
Um, it's a natural. It happens to everybody,
Mhm.
and it's a natural. So the pain of that unsafe, traumatic childhood
Mhm.
stays with you until it is seen, felt, heard, understood. So it keeps on nagging or knocking at your door. I am a natural part of you. I want to be recognized. So the system is all the time knocking at your door. And the unnatural reaction of you is you shut the door and you blame yourself for it. That's also unnatural. And then you blame yourself that you are not flowing in your life, that you are not easy in relationships or in working or in dealing with your own energy. And the natural way, the healthy way, is knocking, you just open the door. And then you open the door for a part of you that's been hurt in the past. And then you listen what happened. You look at it, you sense it, you try to understand and recognize, and then you can let it go. And that's hard thing to do nowadays in India, in the Netherlands. That's why we have these kind of modalities that we all know from in joining hands. All the different modalities are helping you to come into peace and to stop closing the door for what's knocking on the other side.
So is family constellations like the hinge that opens the door?
No, family constellations, I don't know the word hinge, but that's the,
What holds the door? The joints that the door swings on?
oh yeah, I think that's not unique for family constellations. Alternate therapy is all the therapies that are the hinge and that are ways to open, that are ways that invite you to open the door to what happened, old pain. And that's almost all alternate therapies do that.
Mhm.
And almost all psychiatric therapies, regular therapies, are not doing. When you get medicine for your trauma, for your depression or your psychosis, etc., they try to keep the door more closed by damping,
Mhm.
by sedating you, etc. And the way to healing is the opposite. It's opening the door and looking in the eyes and be gentle to what happened, whatever happened in the past. And then when you understand, heal, feel, and close that inner child in your heart, you come to peace with it, then you're healing your own emotional body and your own soul.
So, now that you've given us a lot of insights about inner child and about um, different modalities.
Yeah.
Those of us who are new, how would could you show some insights on what is a family constellation? What is a system?
Yeah. A family constellation is a systemic approach. We are born in the most influential system that we have in our lives, and that's we are born in a family. We are all born from two biological parents of whom with whom we share their essence. The seed of your father, the womb and the egg of your mother, and then for 9 months you even connect with the blood and the hormones and even the breathing and the thinking of your mother. and she's interacting with your father usually during that period. And then you are born in a system with some siblings that are there, or in your open moments, even before you understand, you get another brother or sister who influences everything you believe on and that you're known with in your life. And then your parents have certain interactions with each other in harmony or disharmony. And you don't have the brains and you don't have the experience to deal with what happens. And there, that's the main subject. And they also bring their own history with them in the way they approach you. They have had their own wounded childhood and they have had their own parents. So that's very influential on the way they have treated you in your childhood. That's the system that where we find 80% of the trouble in later in life, which is not easy to handle for you. That's where we find the root cause for many of our later on difficulties in life, not trauma, but difficulties in life. And we can recreate the energy of that family system that you're in. And when we recreate it, we can also find recognition in that system. We do that by putting up a circle and asking from the people in the circle to be a stand in for the people of your family of origin and not tell them anything about your family of origin. So they can step in the energy of your father, your mother, and your brother or sister, etc. And when they step in it, and you have in your mind the trauma, the traumatic inner child, or the period that you were in, then we can really see, and it opens up what the trauma was about, what the traumatic experiences were, and how the energies were not flowing because they are appearing, they have appeared in the history. And from that, we can face each other, we can recognize what happened, we can sense it, it enters our body, and we get chicken skin, we get warm, cold, any kind of experiences happen in family constellations, and then you can feel now everything is seen, now everything is recognized, now everything that was really important is felt. And sometimes that's 40, 50, 60 years later when it happened, and all people are telling how big of a release it was that they have now seen, felt, and understood what happened. And then things change for the good in lives of people that had a family constellation. I think that's in a nutshell a way of explaining what family constellations is. So usually you do it in a group in person. Usually there are six between 6 and 60 people sitting in a circle, and one person is a client for a family constellations, and 4 or 5 other people are asked as stand-ins for their family, and maybe also for other systems that were so influential that it brought you trauma or hiccups in life.
I really like the way you started by saying the family system is the most influential system in our lives.
Yes.
And I used to always wonder as a child, why am I a Bhatia? Why am I not an Ambani? Why am I not a Trump? Why am I not a Gates or a Buffett?
Yeah.
Bhatia,
And somehow um, nature is not without mistakes. So yesterday I had a client who said, "I don't know who my parents are." So I put up the parents, and then when we put up the parents didn't know who they are themselves because they were living the truth or the way they should have lived in a nice way. But she said, everybody I meet says the sister of my mother looks more like being a mother for me than I have. So I asked her, well, in your last lifetime or before you were born, who did you want to be a child of? And then she said, oh, when I go back to it and I remember it, I chose my aunt as my mother. And then I think that happens. It happens to people that they want to be born somewhere in the street, and then the pregnancy fails, and then you are born at the neighbor, and then every every time you come out of school, you go and have tea, and you land with that neighbor woman that you wanted to be your mother, or you get a closer relationship with your aunt than with your mother, etc. That was a nice experience yesterday also.
So you've facilitated what, thousands of constellations now?
I don't count them.
You have what? You have 160 students in India.
Really?
Some people have completed certain modules, but when
Yeah.
we counted last, there are 160 students that have already worked with you. I think close to 100 already certified and practicing right now.
And many more that have joined family constellations, individual constellations. Last time we were in your house, so we were already with 50.
50 people, yes, 50 people in my house.
Yeah, that was just one. But 160 people probably in the programs, yes.
Yeah, the teaching programs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then of course the number of programs you've done in India with the father wound, the mother wound, and the multitude of programs you've done, and your own practice in Netherlands. Is there a story or a case that sticks to your heart? I know you've told me I don't remember, but like you shared yesterday, something that you like, oh my God, even this is possible, constellations.
I always start my constellation, the new constellation, with a clean sheet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very good at forgetting.
Okay.
But in India, I did a constellation where the mother was completely unavailable for the daughter, and she was just angry, and it was a frozen face, I remember. And I thought, well, something went wrong somewhere with her mother, with the mother. So could not be available for the daughter. And the usual suspect is the mother of the mother then in her childhood. So I put up the mother of the mother. And maybe when the mother is not able to be a good mother for her children and to connect, maybe she didn't connect with her mother. So I went to her mother and I saw, yes, it's in this direction, because the grandmother was also had a frozen face and unable to give love to her mother. So I thought, okay, let's put up 5 generations. And but the fifth generations were also frozen, and there was nobody that I could have a normal conversation with. They
Wow.
all had anger around it. No, no, no. And then I put up. I thought 7 generations. I heard from opinions that something could go on for 7 generations. We had to go until 11 generations, 11 mothers. You can only do that when you have a group of 30 participants or something. But we had 11 generations, and there at the 10th, between the 10th and the 11th generation, the grandmother of 11 generations ago said, okay, I know what happened. And there she told a story I don't really remember, but there was somebody died at an early age, and it was unnatural and with a lot of violence, and there was so much, like almost a curse or there was such a painful thing happened 11 generations ago. I don't want to go into the details of that, because it's 11 generations ago, and you never know what survives in these 11 generations. But when that was seen, recognized, which was easy because everybody had already died for a long time ago, and then everybody, all these mothers, turned around with a glossy face, with some blood flowing and an understanding and the smile. And 11 generations ago, things have happened and being frozen, that were all waking up and raised a smile. And then the mother said, "Now I can be there for you, my daughter." So far in history, the it can start so far away. It could start. I never saw that we needed to go back 11 generations. Yeah.
I'm getting what you call chicken skin, goosebumps.
Yeah.
When I saw this, like,
And this healing process, in which you can see how things that have been frozen for so long, when they are of life coming through it, that's really a roaring moment anytime. It happens often. Yeah. But you can sense and feel directly yourself a good thing at facilitating your family constellation, because of the chicken skin that you feel right now, Hitesh. Yeah.
yeah. So I also have my eye on the clock, and I have two more questions I want to ask. Again, I'm going to be politically correct, because when you say, or when we say, that learning constellations is not about facilitating others, it's about facing your own system.
Yes.
For a student, or for someone who wants to learn constellations, what does that look like?
Learning family constellations is a combination of doing your own work, facing your own all the shadows inside of you, facing your own inner children, and become so free that you understand your own limits, and you understand you are humble towards yourself, and then you become authentic. You let go of the ego, and you bring your possibilities and your boundaries with you, and then you can facilitate a constellation for somebody else, or you cannot. If you cannot, you just ask you say you should go to somebody else. And if you can at least be fully present with whatever happens in the constellation. And then it's just a technique to learn. But the most important part of it is authenticity and integrity. You have to face yourself before you can lead others.
So
I tried to answer you shortly because
I
of
think that
your
was a great
time.
answer. I think that was a great answer. And just a
Thank you.
follow-up question. What kind of a person can learn to do this? Is
If
it
you
for
have
everyone?
if you have worked on yourself,
Mhm.
um, and you feel you do some family constellations, and it feels natural to you what's happening there. For me, that took a few years, but at a certain moment, I said, "Oh, this is not so weird and strange as I thought." So it's quite a natural thing. um, you you feel the connection with family constellations when you are participant of a family constellation, or you feel like, I might be able to do this also. It's not such a different world from how I can sense it. Then it's for you. And I would really love you to join then, and then spread the work throughout India, because there's so much unnecessary trauma and so much unnecessary pain that people are keeping. That uh, even in Europe we're just starting, but then there's so much healing to be brought in quite an easy way. But I think it's for people that are working on themselves a little bit and recognize the work, and that is quite simple and easy to do.
Very
And
interesting.
then we'll make it a little bit more difficult than you thought at the beginning. But that's the process of learning family constellations.
So you're also going to be doing a very interesting program when you're in India here.
Yes,
And do you want to talk about that now? The shamanic healing retreat.
yes.
Just before that, has anybody a quick message on the chat? Have you heard about shamanism? Do you have questions about shamanism? You know, some people say, yes, I know what shamans are. So that, but if you could just talk a little about the program that you're going to do in India, the retreat, the 5-day self-healing retreat.
Yes. So it's really not a training program. It's not a teaching. It's a retreat. And during during my constellations, I have also participated in Druidism and in Kiva events with indigenous elders, wisdom keepers. And we did a lot of ceremony, usually with the drums, earth, and fire ceremonies. We've done that a lot. And then I found out that Bert Hellinger, who founded Family Constellations, has brought together Jungian therapy and body therapy with insights from shamanism, the field of ancestors and the energy fields, and he brought them together. And I think family constellation is a very Western approach within a conditioner, etc. And the healing yourself has got a lot more in a field of when you are in nature, when you use the drum to awaken the beat of your heart, when you use fire to burn away old wounds, and use the ears of sharing, listening to each other, and the power of personal attention, and use each other's healing abilities to heal each other. And that's a very strong way of reconnecting with your own inner nature, using outer nature, using the elements, asking the gods of the four directions, etc. And there are no limits in what can be done if we get out of the city, out of the environment of the hotel and the air conditionings in the hotel, and we can really reconnect ourselves in a much deeper way, especially for city people like you and me. You can feel that there's so much to gain from meditating in nature, reconnecting with yourself in nature, and meeting the elements. But you have to sacrifice your expectations for healing. It's not a product to be bought in a shop. It's not a pill. It's an enough to be there in 5 days, but we ignite um, of meditation in nature and of reconnection there, and that's the start of a journey. Yeah.
So
I'm not a shaman, but I've learned a lot from the shamans, and I do family constellations, and I combine everything that I've learned, and I take it from everywhere. Feel much free in a retreat where I'm not a producer or the producer and you're the consumer, but we will
so it's a lot about connecting with nature, shamanism.
your own inner nature, the real nature of trees and fire, and each other, nature and each other.
Okay.
tree connection. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Interesting. Do I have more questions? Questions. I always have questions. But does someone else have questions that they would want to ask? Questions on inner child, questions on healing, questions on family constellations, questions to class, questions about shamanism. Hey, Lakshmi, go right, go right. Sorry.
Hi, good evening.
Hey.
Hello, Lakshmi.
Yeah. Hello. Claes, how are you? So I
I'm
have
really
a
good.
question. Thank you. My question is, a child, suppose a mother was not prepared for a child at a point, and the child was conceived, and the child in her lifetime goes through all this, that being unwanted by the mother at the time of conception. After the child is delivered, the mother has been very good and all that. But that 8 months, 9 months in the womb, the child was unloved. The mother didn't want the child. Can this family constellation help in that?
Yes, because there is always in the mother, there are different layers of
Hmm,
unwanting and wanting. So
hmm,
you can put up the mother and the
hmm,
part of the mother that was afraid and unwanting the child, and
hmm,
the child can understand from the mother
hmm,
if she was afraid or she was angry with the father or what was the reason she didn't want
hmm,
to have the
hmm,
child. And you can
hmm.
also put up in the constellation the soul of the mother, and the
Hmm.
soul of the mother wanted the child. Otherwise,
Ah,
it wouldn't have occurred.
correct,
So,
correct. Huh.
this is how a family constellation can really be helpful finding peace with yourself.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Poonam raises her real hand.
Thank you, Lakshmi. I can't see Poonam on my screen. Where is Poonam? Oh, there you are. Sorry. Hi, Poonam. Sorry, I'm just
Well, you're
unmute. You should be able to unmute, Poonam. Yes,
Hi. Hi. Can you hear me?
loud and clear.
Hello. So I have a question like how many so there are how many modules of family constellation and it's how long the course is like?
Should I get that? Do you want to get that class? Go for it.
It's okay. I go for teaching you to facilitate in-person family constellations only, and I try to give you the fundaments, only the fundamental stuff, so you can start working on it. And I come to India 3 times for 6 days, of which the fourth day is an integration day. So we have 5 days of programs, and you have to be there 6 days in Mumbai for it. And we do that 3 times. Between two modules is 3 or 4 months usually.
Okay, so
And
it will take
but
you about 1 year,
mhm,
around
again,
around 1 year, around 1 year.
It's
around
it's around
9 months,
7 months. Actually, it's not nine
maybe
months.
six,
Not.
7 months.
It's six. It's
So
around
in the
6 months.
first month we do 6 days, then you practice 2 or 3 months. In the fourth month we do 6 days, and 2 months later, then it's month 7 or 8. Month
Mhm.
7 usually, then you've done the whole course.
So it's
And you always need like people whenever you have to practice, you need a group to practice. If I'm
Yes,
right.
and if you are from Mumbai, Binaifa helps to connect with the groups of participants of yourself, and you can invite people that were in the school before, so you
Mm-hmm.
can have people that want to practice. If you're outside of Mumbai, you need to organize, but you can do the after the first module already when you have two friends to practice with the three of you. You can put up a person and her parent or two parents, and you can already start. After the second module, you need a little bit bigger groups
Mm. Mm.
But between the modules, I really want you to read about family constellation, read some books, and practice
Mm.
and prepare for the next module. Yeah. So
Mm.
I expect a lot from my students because I want after these 3 modules that they're really able to start with facilitating family constellations and not make too many mistakes.
Mm.
So quality is important for me.
So I have actually experienced it in London with somebody.
Hmm.
So that gave me a like little bit of curiosity to learn this.
With
Yeah.
whom?
Nicola
Nicola.
in London. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah.
Nicola.
So
Probably.
can we
Very
do this modality on online also? Is it possible to do this online? No.
No. No.
No.
I cannot teach you to facilitate family constellations online because you cannot really uh, sense the energy well enough and see the constellation total.
Yeah.
So this the field demands being present in the room. I'm very happy I can't because otherwise AI will take over next year.
I understand that. I know
Yeah.
because thank you, thank you. These were the questions. Thank you very much.
Are you from England?
No, I have stayed in England for 6 years.
Okay.
I'm an Indian. Now I stay in Delhi, but my daughter lives in Bombay, so I keep on coming. So
Okay.
that's why I come across it.
Come
So
to Bombay for a year and teach and learn family constellations.
yes, 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 for sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Poonam, we can have one of our team members call you and give you the details.
Yes, yes, you can do that. Thank you.
Binaifa will reach out to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Poonam.
you very much.
Thank you. And we'll take the last question from Vaishali. Before I leave, because class, I need to get the Zoom started, but Binaifa is going to be here.
Okay. No problem, Binaifa. It's right next to you in the screen next to you. Thank you for meeting Hitesh.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing you real soon. Thank you, everyone. Binaifa from my team is here. We have another Zoom to get to, so I'm going to be getting ready for that. And I hope to see you all once you're done with here, to see you all over there. Thank you. Thank you.
Love you, brother.
Love. Bye.
Bye. Vaishali,
Yes, I
did I
have a
pronounce your name
question.
well?
Sorry?
Did I pronounce your name well,
Yes,
Vaishali?
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, then I know my Hindi is growing on me.
Yeah, you had the perfect accent also, Vaishali.
Thank you.
Okay. So my question is, will this family constellation work for adopted?
Yes, but I have seen with adopted children, I have seen their biological parents very often. So for an adopted child, it can reconnect with the moment of her and where they were the moment of their birth. The trauma existed in the year life, in the moments they were born with with 1 or 2 parents, with the mother, and they were made by 2 parents or by their mother, and then separated from their both of their parents. So give start, which at least can be named traumatic for them, and that's hard for the adopted parents. So the adopted parents can both be the enemy and the savior of the adopted child, but we have to really go back for that 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 adoptions. We have to go back before that, and at the same time can be happened with the adopted parents and in the adoption family also. But we back to the biological ancestry.
Okay. So, do you only teach, or do you also like we can have a session with you?
Yes, I do also anytime I'm in India, as much as I do individual constellations. Then you have a personal session in a room where other people who want to see me work and want to help doing the work, they can be stand-ins, representatives in a family constellation. So
So
we do that a few times in July.
and you don't do it online. I have to be present.
Yes,
Okay.
and it's really much more powerful in person.
So I'd like to know when you're here, and I'd like to. If
Vishali, you
Yeah.
can share your number with me. I'll give you all the details.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I have a manager in India who organizes everything, and that's been IFA.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
She's a very good manager. I trust it.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. About how you are, Lakshmi Priya, Nishant, and all the others that I've seen before. Is there another question or the meeting?
Does anyone have a question? You can unmute and ask. Get done.
For today.
Poonam, can you share your number with me on DM so I can get in touch with you?
If you just want to be informed for individual constellations or whatever, or the program, just share your number with Benifa and the subject that you would like to be informed about, and that's just easy thing to go.
Yeah.
For now, I just want to say I'm so happy to come back to India in 3 weeks and to really reconnect with all the people I already know, and also connect again with new people that have been influenced by family constellations, met family constellations through one of my students or in another way. And if you are interested in the work, uh, please join one of the individual constellations or even the program. Uh, I love most of all the connection in these groups. So, yeah, I'm in love with what I do in India because well, there's so much connection and there's so much recognition in India. Of myself in you, in the people in India, even more than in the Netherlands. So I love to be there, and I hope to meet you when I'm in India. You can also see me work completely for free when I do individual constellations for others, and just by going to my individual constellations as a guest, as a rep, you don't have to be able to do anything for that except for standing in a constellation on 2 feet for a half an hour or so. That's the only thing you need to be able to do there. So you're welcome. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Claes.
Thank you.